fact that we so far have no evidence of extraterrestrial life is not at all discouraging. We shouldn't have found it yet. We have hardly begun.
On July 7, 1947, Mac Brazel, a rancher from Roswell, heard a loud noise that sounded like something had just fallen out of the sky and crashed across his field. He went to investigate and found the crash site filled with debris. As he took a closer look at the scattered pieces of the object, he soon realized that he did not understand what he was looking at. Mac Brazel called the local sheriff. He simply described to him a strange field of wreckage, metal that was light as paper, rubber that didn't burn, and debris that seemed to defy logic. Sheriff Wilcox knew something was off and called the military. What transpired over the next 48 hours would give birth to the biggest alien conspiracy theory in America. The Roswell Army Airfield was sent to investigate the crash site. They were no ordinary unit. They were the only military unit in the world at the time equipped to deliver atomic bombs, which might seem like an overreaction. But considering that the Cold War had just started 4 months prior to the events in Roswell, it made sense for the Army to take sightings of unidentified flying objects very seriously. Over the course of the Cold War, a number of unidentified objects originating from outside U.S. borders were tracked in American airspace. These incidents, mostly unpublicized at the time, were part of a larger pattern involving high-altitude flights, orbital debris, and the quiet competition for strategic intelligence. Among the earliest and most frequent intrusions were large balloons detected floating at very high altitudes. Though similar in appearance to weather instruments, many carried technical payloads meant to collect data over long distances. These objects occasionally drifted over sensitive regions, triggering military alerts and, in some cases, interception by aircraft. Recovered remains sometimes revealed unexpected devices attached beneath the balloon envelope, components used to gather information or test conditions far from their origin point. The technological competition between the United States and the Soviet Union had a significant influence on military research and development. As both powers raced to outpace each other, the U.S. began exploring aircraft concepts that broke from traditional aviation design. Among the more unusual were disc-shaped vehicles, circular, compact, and capable of vertical takeoff and hovering. These aircraft bore a strong resemblance to what the public commonly described as flying saucers. Officially, they were the product of engineering efforts to solve tactical problems like short runway deployment, stealth movement, and aerial maneuverability. But the question remains, what exactly inspired such radically unconventional designs? Were they purely the result of experimental aerodynamics? Or did other influences play a role? At the time, reports of unidentified flying objects were growing more frequent, and military personnel were often among the witnesses. Some believe that behind closed doors, the U.S. may have encountered technology or materials that prompted a new direction in research. Whether through recovered hardware, foreign intelligence, or something never publicly disclosed, there are lingering questions about whether inspiration came solely from engineering insight or from exposure to something less conventional. What is certain is that these designs were more than theoretical. Prototypes were built, tested, and documented. Although many were kept from public view at the time, archival footage and declassified reports confirm that saucer-like aircraft were not just imagined, they were real. And when viewed today, some of these vehicles appear surprisingly advanced, especially considering the limitations of the era. Many of the concepts they explored, silent lift, compact propulsion, multi-directional flight, are only now becoming practical through modern materials and control systems. Whether these early disc-shaped aircraft were simply ahead of their time or part of something more complex remains a matter of debate. But their existence suggests that Cold War innovation may have been influenced by more than just rivalry. It may have been shaped, at least in part, by unknowns we still don't fully understand. The space race brought rapid advances in satellite technology, and not every launch went as planned. On multiple occasions, materials from malfunctioning or aging spacecraft descended into U.S. territory. This included external panels, propulsion elements, and at times hardware powered by hazardous systems. The recovery of such materials prompted coordinated responses, often involving defense and scientific teams tasked with evaluating both safety and origin. Not all sightings were official. Civilians occasionally reported strange aerial events, distant lights, unexplained shapes, or crashes in remote areas. When unidentified objects were found on the ground, they were typically retrieved for detailed analysis. Engineers and intelligence personnel examined the designs, materials, and internal systems to assess their capabilities and possible functions. Although most findings were kept out of public view, they provided insights into Soviet aerospace efforts and occasionally influenced countermeasures. Amid these developments, when a mysterious object crashed near Roswell, New Mexico, it was the Roswell Army Airfield that was called in to retrieve the wreckage. They came to the site, collected all the debris from the crash, leaving nothing behind. Soon after, an official press release was made with Lieutenant Walter Haut. In the historic interview, he said, "The many rumors regarding the flying disc became a reality yesterday, when the intelligence office of the 509th Bomb Group of the 8th Air Force was fortunate enough to gain possession of a disc." The news spread quickly around the entire country as every radio station was talking about an alien flying saucer that was now in possession of the U.S. military. But before panic could settle in, not even 24 hours after the official press release, the Army retracted the statement and said that the unidentified object was simply a weather balloon. Major Jesse Marcel was one of the first people to arrive on the ranch, and he was the one to retrieve the flying disc. A picture of him holding the object, allegedly taken the night of the event, was published alongside the new statement. The problem with this is that it makes no sense. In the picture, he is holding what is clearly a weather balloon. So how could a military officer trained in identifying flying objects not be able to tell what he was holding in his hands? Not to mention all the other specialists who arrived later and supposedly needed 24 hours to figure out its simple identity. It gets even more suspicious if you believe what Jesse Marcel told his family that night. It was not anything from this earth, as his son revealed some years later. Maybe you don't know what a weather balloon looks like, but confusing aluminum foil with extraterrestrial technology seems a bit too sketchy. Over the next 30 years, things seemed to go quiet regarding the conspiracy, but former military officials who served at the time of Roswell started to suddenly disclose new information about the case. Major Jesse Marcel himself said that the debris was swapped out with balloon wreckage before the press photos were taken. Colonel Philip Corso claimed he personally saw alien bodies in crates from Roswell and that the recovered tech led to the development of night vision, Kevlar, and lasers. Lieutenant Walter Haut left a message before his death saying he saw a craft and bodies in a hangar at Roswell Army Airfield. Some even went back to the field and found metal traces with strange characteristics that left experts baffled about their origin. Another popular conspiracy regarding the flying disc is that it was of human origin, and that the U.S. government had classified technology so advanced that even the military would think it must be alien if they came into contact with it. In 1994, Project Mogul was declassified, and the military admitted that it was not just an ordinary weather balloon. Instead, it was part of a classified Cold War program to detect Soviet nuclear tests using high-altitude balloon arrays with special acoustic sensors. This answer, unsurprisingly, left people unsatisfied, with most thinking it was just another cover-up for what really happened. The only thing we know for certain is that the flying disc was indeed swapped with a weather balloon for the pictures, and nothing we saw had anything to do with the true object that fell out of the sky. So what do you think really happened on July 7, 1947 in Roswell?